Okay, I've got part 2 of our worst dynasty trades this year. I did a part 1, and if you're interested, check that out on our page. I might be able to link it if I remember when I'm editing. But we always talk about the trades that we loved that we made, right? We always talk about those trades that we can look back on and be so proud of. We felt like we really swindled someone. But what about those trades that we look back on and we think, what the hell was I thinking? Those are the trades that I want to bring up today. I asked our Discord community, hey, if you feel comfortable, send me some trades that you really regret, and we will make a video. I'll make a video kind of discussing on what lessons we might be able to learn from these trades. If you want to be a part of our Dynasty community, our Discord community, excuse me, and maybe be a part of videos like this in the future, join our Discord with the link that's in the description. But let's look at this first trade from Dunkin' Donut. Shout out to Dunkin' Donuts. All right, nice little coffee and a nice little donut start the morning. Wow. All right, here's the context. He says, I sent Mac Jones and my own 2022 and 2023 first round picks for Antonio Gibson. It was my first year of Dynasty, and I was excited to make trades. So what can we learn from this? Obviously, we look at that trade now, and we can say that that is a terrible trade. Duncan knows that. I know that. You know that. But what can we learn from this trade? Well, number one, I think it's okay to be patient and learn the game. If you're new to Dynasty, don't feel like you have to make trades if other people are making trades. Maybe it's better for you to gain a better full overall understanding of the game of Dynasty before you dive right on in. It's human nature to want to get our hands dirty and just get straight in there. And let's be honest, trading is one of the best parts of Dynasty football. It's exhilarating to have a trade go through. But if you're new to Dynasty specifically, maybe take some time, watch some content creators, and learn a little bit more about the game before you set yourself up for failure for the future. Because the hard thing about Dynasty is that you're not just trading for this year. These future picks actually matter. And that's something that, people who are newer to the game only find out the hard way sometimes. Secondly, I think what we can learn from this is you need to have a community that you can bounce your ideas off of, right? For example, our Discord community. There's a lot of different text channels where people can ask about Dynasty related questions. For example, we have a Dynasty Trades text channel where people send through their trades that they've either made or they're thinking about making. And normally someone in that community helps them out and says, no, this is a really bad trade, or yeah, I like it for you. I think you should go through with it. So trades get sent in our Dynasty community every single day. Always people helping each other out there. So definitely make sure you have some sort of person to talk to and make sure that, you're not getting screwed out of these deals. We also have Patreon if you want some one-on-one advice on some deals where we give you advice, but find a community at least. All right, this second trade that we're looking from is from S-Day 2137. He sent out the 101 in this year's rookie draft and a third, and he received Chase Claypool, the 206 and the 207 in this year's rookie draft. In the context, he says, this was early in the offseason and the class was looking deep, but lacking top end talent. But I kick myself frequently over this. So I think most people would agree. Now you might disagree, but I think most of us can agree that you probably could have gotten a more elite player and a better player for the 101. I mean, I think that this is an absolute steal for whoever got the 101 in this deal. But what can we learn from this? Well, number one, let's talk about when draft capital is valued at its highest. When are these rookie picks in Dynasty valued at their absolute highest? Well, let's think about it. When are draft prospects hyped up the most? That is draft season. So if you're trading rookie picks, especially early rookie picks, months and months before draft hype really starts, then you're not going to get the most value for them. Think about how much you and I can only speak for myself, but I think about how much I fall in love with prospects and I look at their upside and I see so much potential in them. And normally, when I first begin the process, I fall in love with people, but I start to fall in love with people more and more and more and see more of them as I get closer to the draft season. So if you want to get the most out of your picks, instead of taking rookie picks, let's say you do want to trade that 101, wait until at least late April, early May to trade your rookie picks, because that's when they will be at an all-time high. And unfortunately, no trade calculator is really going to be able to put that into their calculations. Trade calculators, I mean, look, it's a good reference point, but don't make it everything for you, okay? But let's look at the 101. Right now, I think you could easily get an elite talent for the 101. I mean, that's Breece Hall. So you could get a lot more than Claypool 206 and 207. And I think we look at this rookie class, there is a pretty big tier drop off in Superflex leagues, definitely in one quarterback leagues, around the 204 and onwards. So I would argue that you kind of put yourself in a tier that has dropped from the talent, from that first round talent. So again, if we learn anything from this deal, you just don't trade your rookie picks until we're like way closer to the draft. And I think we can all agree that that's something that we could get a little bit better on. All right, the third trade here is from Levi813. Thanks for submitting your trade, bro. We're all being a little vulnerable, aren't we? In the trade that he sent through, he sent away Deebo Samuel, Elijah Mitchell, and he received the 111 and the 211 in this year's rookie draft. And the context is really important here, because the context, he says, I swear those picks looked good at the time, and then they became the 111 and the 211. So almost worst case scenario for both of those picks, you know? So what can we learn from this? Number one, and I hear this all the time, but number one, you cannot project future rookie pick positions. You just can't do it. We hear it all the time. I mean, through Patreon, we give out advice. We answer, almost 100 questions every single day. And a lot of people say things like, well, this pick that I'm sending is going to be an early pick, or it's going to be a late pick anyway, right? The pick that I'm sending is going to be late anyway. And I think the pick that I'm receiving, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a top 3 pick. You can't predict where picks are going to land. And ultimately, that will change the value of your trade. Injuries happen. The owners that you trade with, they might trade out of their strategies. So for example, if you get a first round pick from a team that looks like a futuristic team, they could easily make trades right after they do that trade with you to become a win now team. And then a pick that you think is going to be a top 3 pick ends up being a bottom 3 pick in the first round. It happens all the time. It happens every year. Injuries, teams changing strategies, teams going all for it when they didn't think they could. So you just cannot project where these picks are actually going to land. So I think it's dangerous to assume that we know where they're going to be when we are trading. And I think we all do that. The second thing we can learn here is, maybe this is something that we can all work on. I know I can work on it, is maybe being more neutral when we see trades in our leagues that we don't agree with. Because I think, look at the date on this one. If I'm not mistaken, this trade went through on the 24th of September. We need to remember what all of us thought about Deebo on the 24th of September. Okay? Not everyone thought Deebo would be this player that he is now. A lot of people had questions about the injury history. So you have to keep in mind, there were still a lot of question marks about Deebo. And I imagine if this trade went through, a lot of people in the league would have thought that this was a huge steal for Levi. But keep in mind, Deebo was being drafted in rounds 7 to 9 of startups last year. Mitchell was being drafted 15th round plus. So all I'm saying is, we see it all the time. I see it in my leagues. I see it in other people's leagues. A trade goes through, and then you kind of ruin a relationship with someone because you make a comment about it that's maybe not so nice. And then we look back and we say, oh, yeah, you got screwed over by that trade. Like, it's almost funny to look back on. So everyone has a process, and relationships are really important in Dynasty football. You don't typically get new league members. If you're doing it right, you don't get new league members. So relationships are really, really important. You want people to think highly of you so they would want to trade with you. And if you're that guy in the league who, when a trade goes through, you're like, what the hell was that? Like, someone just got absolutely destroyed, then you're not the person that people want to trade with. So we can't predict what trades will look like in a year from now, and no one wants to trade with that guy. So maybe I can work on it for sure. Maybe you can work on it, where we need to be a little bit more neutral in trades. And typically, if you hear the context of why someone made a trade, then you can see the reasons behind it. We might not agree with it, but we can at least see the reasoning, where they were going. So that's something that I think we can all work on. Now, I made a terrible trade this year, but you're gonna have to see it in the part 1 of this series. I made a terrible Elijah Mitchell trade that I will regret for a long time. But go to our part 1 if you want to see that trade, and maybe what I think is the biggest lesson of dynasty trading of all. So go check that out on part 1. Let me know, did you like this series? Should I do this again in the future? Is there a way that we can improve it? Comment down below.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos,
watch it.
You can also subscribe
right now
if you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/FantasyLandFam.